Hello everybody, it's Chrissy from Chrissy's Beautiful Life, and I am here to share 2017, and it has 3 albums, and it is not all the same. There's a pink and a yellow floral with pink and a teal one, so I will show you that as I get on them. But yes, it's 3 albums full, so this one covers from January to the end of March, so there's to the end of April. So there's 3 albums with 4 months in each one. So let's dig right in. I've already attempted this voiceover. It's not a voiceover, I'm talking live. I've already attempted to record this and it did not go so smoothly last time. So we're going to try again. I'm filming this on a very rainy and cloudy Saturday. We are getting a big storm in and it's a little windy. So we'll see how the lighting is. So kicking off, I have this layout. So again, I always like to start my year off with a goals layout, something about myself. This one in particular, I created back when the first time I was part of the Spiegel Mom Scraps design team. I hand stitched in the hellos in a few different colors. We were featuring these awesome sequins that Jody had just gotten in that have the little flowers. Now they're in tons of mixes and they're beautiful. And we were also doing collaboration and using these fun little chipboard elements. So just talking about my goals and, you know, just the little things, declutter the house, get outside more, more music, less TV, and I've really managed to do that goal. I don't actually watch a ton of TV unless it's like YouTube videos, like of scrapbooking. Other than that, I really could care less about TV. There's a few things here and there, and just enjoy the small things, which I think that I do. And then that was a lot of Maggie Holmes. I love Maggie Holmes. It's a big pattern going on. And then this one was a really fun one that I created back, it was very short-lived. We only got to do a few episodes, but it was how I became friends, like really good friends with Sarah Scraps and Christina and Maggie and Hannah and Beth. So we all got together. Beth had this idea of starting this really fun series and we called it Inspired By. And so one of the very first episodes was to be inspired by other hobbies. And so I was tongue-in-cheek and said, because coffee is my other hobby. And then just a bunch of stuff. This is a pink paisley. I think it was from the C'est La Vie collection, but it is like one of my all-time favorite pattern papers. I absolutely loved it. So this is from the 6x6 paper pad. I just put them together so it looked like one big long strip there. And then I made coffee rings with a coffee cup and some paint. And then I just put down my journaling and it just says, everyone knows me as a scrapbooker, and that is just my thing. But the truth is, I have another hobby I love almost just as much. In fact, I partake in it every single day. That's right, I'm talking about coffee. It's my must-have drink in the morning, and I love a nice cup midday to help perk me up. My favorite is Folgers, and I promise this hobby will never go away. So, tongue-in-cheek, kind of fun. I love this layout. And into 9x12, which I don't do a ton of anymore, but that's okay. And then I have, this is another one I do every year. At the beginning of the year is how our New Year's went. This one I created for one of my not my Lifton sketches, my 30 days of sketches. I think this one was for round 2. I really like this one. I used some of that crepe paper and folded it in on itself so it kind of has a ruffled effect. I glued that and then put my papers, so I call it the curtain effect. So you layer them almost on top of each other and it just kind of has that curtainy look, and I love that. And then down here is a bunch of washi tape from the pink paisley. It was something Moonlight, but it was so pretty. And I had the washi tape for it, so I just layered those there. A piece of acrylic and a bunch of Spiegel and Scrap stuff, and then other things like the clock because it's the new year and a bird taking flight and just lots of fun stuff with the photos that we happened to take. This was one year. Jackson didn't make it to midnight quite yet, but he did get to stay up late and he got to have chips and dip, which is something that we celebrate. It's kind of a tradition for our family is to have chips and dip. It's not something we do very often, so it is a treat for us. And Then Sean and I, we made it to midnight. We watched the fireworks on TV, and then we went right to bed because we are parents of this little guy who is full energy, and we were tired. And then we have this one, which is, so I'm pregnant with Nora in this part of the year here. And because I had gestational diabetes, oh, hold on, Barrett's crying. Okay, so, you know, like hours later, I'm back. Okay, so because I had gestational diabetes, I had lots and lots of doctor's visits during my pregnancies because like every other week you have to go in and show them your blood sugars and all that fun stuff. So I had lots of doctor's appointments, and there's just a lot of waiting around. So I got into a habit of basically taking a photo every time I was waiting, because you do a lot of waiting. And that's just what this is about. So I titled it Sitting, Waiting, Wishing. It's a scrap lift from the fabulous Kelly Barron. And this was one of my lift and sketches that I do with Rachel. And then I just have hidden journaling talking about all of the waiting I did in this pregnancy with Miss Nora. And then I also did, I had planned to do Project Life for 2017, and it did not happen. However, I loved the cover page that I created, and so I just left it in my album because I really, really liked it. I liked my little card, and then I liked the individual ones. These are some of my favorite Project Life cards, so I just kept it. I felt no big deal. It's just kind of like a second introduction into the year. I definitely could have included this at the very front. It just happens to be where it is in this album. It can switch anytime. I also like that our ages are just visible and you can kind of just see all of that. So in 2017, Sean was 33, I turned 30 that year, Jackson turned 3, and Nora was our new addition. So these are what we turned within the year. In January, I was still in my 20s. And then I did, because I did try to do Project Life, have the first like week in here with just some of the photos and a little bit of what was happening. I was watching a ton of Bones. I watched all of Bones during that year, I believe. And then having some fun with Jackson and just little things that he's like wasn't really supposed to sit on the couch, but I let it go, and the snow we had, and just all sorts of stuff. I'm waiting for Daddy, watching Daddy shoveling the snow. So I left it, like I said, just left it in because I had done them and I loved that cover. And then we jumped straight into Jackson's birthday. So this is the one layout for his birthday that's in our family album. The other two are in his own personal album. And I really love the way this layout turned out. Lots of little journaling. I always do kind of this, and kind of it almost is always the same journaling about how did a little man become 3? Like, why is this happening? So much has happened in his life already. The one thing that has always been constant is his ability to make us laugh. We are so proud of all the growth he has gone through in the past year, and can't wait to see what the future will bring him. And so just 3 little photos taken from his birthday throughout the day. He was still in his pajamas, my sweet little boy there. And then, yeah, just some of my favorite pattern papers that I had scraps of. And just kind of, I love the way that this kind of went. Like, I have that little tiny alpha there for the way, I don't know, I just really like that. And then the little man, because that's what he is. And there is nothing on the back. And then I have another 9. I did a lot of these 9x12s. I got out of that. I don't even think I've done a 9x12 in a really long time, but I used to do a lot of them. And this one is just that really popular where you take two triangles, you put them together, you photo right in the middle there, and it's just like this beautiful design that just happens because of the way that you put your triangles. And so yeah, super easy, really easy. Just did a little bit of embellishing around it. And then Life is Sweet. The 2 is because I have Nora inside me there, and then I loved it. I still have the shirt, but being pregnant, I really loved the way that it looked with my bump. So just a kind of basic creating something fun layout. And then this one I created, I love this photo of Jackson pointing. I would ask Jackson what was in my tummy, and he would point and say baby, and it was really sweet the way he used to do that. So that's what this is documenting, some of, again, my favorite patterns. And the photo is a little bit larger. I think it's a 5x5, and then just I like the contrast with the pop of yellow and then a little bit of washi and the sprinkling of sequins. Love it. And then I have a companion page taken on the same day, because you can tell by my shirt. And this was a scrap lift from Crafty Maggie, and I was inspired by her layout because she was using the Journey collection from Crate Paper, which was one of my all-time favorite collections. And I literally tried to copy her squares, square for square. And then her photos were placed here, but then I made my title longer, spread out throughout the entire, stacked on top of each other. And then I also did this fun little design because it was for a Spiegel Mom Scraps layout that I was featuring. So I love it, like the cork and the little felt hearts that she used to sell. I think no, she's wood veneer now. And then the sequins as well. Love this layout. And this is just talking about how quickly time went with Nora. It was really fast. I felt like I was hardly pregnant with her. And then a photo of Jackson with really good eye contact, which was a big deal. And this is still when we were learning about if he was gonna be autistic, and we didn't know, and all of that. And so it's just kind of a title. The title is a quote I found on Pinterest, and it just says, eyes have their own vocabulary, what a beautiful language to learn. And then just journaling about how eye contact is a big deal. And so we've been working with it with pictures, because you'll notice a lot of the pictures in this, especially in this year, he's not looking at the camera. So this is a great photo. And I was using up just a little bit that I had left over of that beautiful Mickey Holmes line, and I just punched little 2x2 squares, and then I think that was the only 12x12 pattern paper I had left, and I just did that diagonal look there. This is, again, a really classic look that you could recreate over and over and over again. And I was very, very big on having long titles stacked on top of each other. That was something I did a lot this particular year. We had a massive snowstorm that year as well, although it's not as massive as the one after it, but we didn't know that at the time. So yeah, really, really big snowstorm. I created this really fun snowflake with the scraps I had left over from a winter line. I think, it's not Crate Paper. I cannot think of where it came from, but I loved the sign. It was so pretty. And so I just, created snowflakes with the paper and then did the stitching. I do think that the inspiration came from like a Paige Evans layout that I had seen. And then with the little felt snowflakes, I just put sequins on the ends, and there's a little snowflake one in the middle too. It's kind of iridescent, so it's a little bit hard to see. And then there's journaling that pops out, just talking about he wasn't really sure about the snow at first, but then he would really start to enjoy it and all of that. And he was so cute in his little red jacket and blue snow pants. So yes, I love that one. And I have a few to do with snow because it was a really big deal. And so this one I created for a 12 days. So this was first series days that I did for the 12 days was 12 days of Christmas, and this one was for day 4, and I had to get 4 snowmen on this layout. So I have it in this little flare, I have it in this big old chipboard piece, this little I actually think this was just something I fussy cut out, and then I used the word snowman. And then for the background, it's just a mixture of mixed media with stenciling. So I've got some silver, and then I think it's like a rose gold and all that, and then the little bits of snowflakes kind of spread throughout. Again, stacked title like that. So much fun, so much snow. I should have put snow much fun because that would have been cute too, but I did not. And again, just kind of 3 photos. That's my car all covered up, and you can't really tell because of how I placed my title, but that was my car. Just a look in the evening, and then Jackson and how deep it was for him that particular year. And then the last snow one that I dealt with is I created for Lift and Sketch, and it was a scrap lift, and I really loved creating this. It was so much fun, and though it's I do do this color scheme a lot, but the pops of red was a little bit different, but I really wanted to highlight his jacket because it's so prominent in photos and stuff. So I used the sequins mix that had the little bit of red to help pop that up. And I just called it Snow and Laughter. And then this one talks about how Jackson really loved helping Sean dust off his truck. And then they would have a bit of a snowball fight and have lots of fun. So yeah, I really love the way this one turned out. It's definitely one of my favorites. And then we jump into Valentine's. I always try to do a layout about Sean and I for Valentine's Day. So this one, older photos that weren't taken from this year or this Valentine's Day, but basically I just say journaling that says I don't need Valentine's Day to know how much I love him. And so to kind of highlight that these aren't Valentine's Day photos, I use the hashtag Latergram, and then my everyday Valentine with my journaling talking about that there. And just some, I hand cut out the hearts in the same shape. Really bad job of that. Like, it's not a really great heart, but I just went with it and played with it, and I was learning to deal with like shapes and like how to stitch back then, so it's fun. I like that layout. I would change it a little bit now, but I like my starting points there. This was a really fun one. I had a lot of fun doing this one. First thing is the stitched sequin banner. I thought that was really fun and neat, and this is one of my favorite sequins mixes that Jody had ever created. I loved it. I then had some washi triangles that I used, and then I also did, behind my photo is some old thickers that I just had random left of, and I used some modeling paste on top of it, and then mixed some watercolors, like 3 different colors of watercolors to match what the Snapchat filter kind of had going on there. I love that. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed creating that. And so a pretty basic layout, really. There's not a lot to it, just a couple layers of pattern paper and all of that. These are, I'm sure, 6x6 squares, and they look Paige Evans-y, but I just really like it. And I was big into Snapchat that year. I really remember doing a lot of Snapchat, and so definitely marks that time frame. This one is funny because of how I know what's happening now, but this was my layout to document how I was never having another baby, and we were all done, and it was bittersweet, and blah 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 blah, and basically like the last photo of me pregnant. However, that is not what happened, but we thought it was. I made a really fun shaker pocket here. I loved creating this. Way different. So I did this mixed media one day when I was probably off camera just trying to do something. I did not love the way it had turned out. So what I did was just simply, a lot of times what I do is I take like a page protector, and I'm just gonna grab one. It's got stuff in it, but I just take a page protector like this, and then that's how I make my shaker pockets. And then you can either stitch first and leave a little gap and then fill it with sequins. I'm pretty sure what I did here. I probably left a little gap, filled it with sequins, closed the gap, but I also, because I wanted them to be all around, and knowing that it was going to be in a page protector, so when you go like this, they'd all fall down to the bottom, I just did this fun little spiral and tried to keep some of the sequins within the spiral. So no matter what happened, there would be a little bit of sequins everywhere. It was fun. It was my first time, one of my first times making shaker pockets, so it was fun. It's got a fun double layer here where it's got, I tore the entire edge of everything, added a tiny bit of washi peeking out, and then the border. I thought that was really neat as well. And then just a bit of my journaling, and pretty minimally embellished because of the shaker pocket. And this is one of my favorites for sure. I love the way this turned out. I'm pretty sure it's a scrap lift. I'm thinking it may be Jen Scow-ish, but I love it. It's just pattern paper. Again, one of my favorite fall lines from that year or the year before. I had been hoarding it. That could be, and you just different widths, and you just layer them on top of each other, do some stitching. And the best way to do this is if you have liquid glue of any kind, you just put the line right there and then let it dry and then stitch, and that way you have the ability to fold up the edges and have have some dimension if that's what the look desired look you're trying to get to. And then 2 photos of my son. Mostly I'm highlighting, I took these photos because I'm highlighting his eyelashes there. Like he has the craziest, thickest eyelashes, like girl eyelashes. It's crazy. But the journaling talks about how, because we were so close to Nora being around, how Sean and I would love him no matter what, and just because Nora's coming means nothing, like our love for him wasn't going to change. So that is my layout of being able to get those feelings out, basically, because, and not that it was like a hard thing to document, but you never want your kids to feel like they're less important because a new baby's coming, right? So that is what that one was about. This one, yeah, not my favorite layout ever. I don't hate it, I don't love it, I'm in between there. But I did have fun creating it. So tone on tone is one of the first times I learned that I really like tone on tone mixed media. So there's that with a stencil. The photo this is the last photo of us as a family of 3. So we're literally on the way to the hospital to be induced to give birth to Nora there. The banners are the circle wreaths that came from the Little by Little collection from Chamel, and I just cut them in half and then just created a fun little banner, and then everything's on, you know, the diagonal of this pattern paper and a little bit of clustering up there, and called it a day. So really, really easy to create, but it's just, I don't know, there's something about it I don't love. This one I do really like though. I love the effect of this watercolor paint stripes there. And then this was one about doing shaker pockets in frames. And then there are 2 photos taken from the hospital while I was in labor with Nora, and how Sean's always right there by my side. So it's exactly what the journaling's about. Since the beginning, he's always been there for me, and just lots of little random embellishments here and there. I remember having a lot of fun creating this layout. It's definitely very lovey-dovey, but I really love it. Onto a layout I created using a sketch from Laura Whitaker. I'm not sure if it was one, I just know it's from her. I'm not exactly sure what it was from, but I had a lot of fun. And I do remember the sketch had this fun diagonal effect, which I definitely was able to capture. And then I just took the 2 photos, like the first kind of photos of Sean holding Nora, which is pretty sweet there. Titled it Meeting Daddy, a little bit tucked here and there, and then black tone, so black and white tone on tone with a little bit of purple mixed media to kind of give the more girly effect, and call it a day. This was another really easy one, though when you look at it, it's really pretty and it's got a lot of fun things to look at. So like this one, it's still quite flat. I haven't gotten into as much dimension as I have maybe nowadays, but you can see I'm working on it. And then this is my layout for my first photo with Nora there. And it's funny because I use an app, especially like here, where it gives you like a bit of makeup, but with and it fixes your eyebrows, but I look like I have way more makeup on than I ever have. So it's funny to look back at that, like how filtered I made that, because that looks horrible. But anyways, I titled this I Love You More Than You'll Ever Know, and then this is definitely a scrap lift. This was a lift and sketch, I remember that. Lots of embellishing here, that little cute little stork there, the banner. This is popped up with some fun foam, so now we've got some embellishment going on. And then I have a whole lot of journaling just hidden right in there, just talking about my feelings about her being here. Another one of my all-time favorite layouts. I love this. This was for one of my 30 days of sketches. I had so much fun doing this like stitching technique and then adding some puffy stickers on top of it. Got this is like my favorite for the yellow and gold. I thought it was really pretty. Really, really beautiful pattern paper from LA Studio, and then just titled This Is Our Happily Ever After. Again, we thought we were done, so it was, even though it's not. My photo is popped up on fun foam, and then a layer underneath it with another layer. Just lots of fun. Some florals. I try to pick all my favorite pieces that I had lying around on my desk, basically in arm's reach, and just used it to create this layout. So I adore it. And what it is, this photo is the very moment Jackson saw Nora for the first time. And then it says, and our family was truly complete. All the excitement and uncertainty of being a family of 4. I cannot wait to see what the future holds. And I should go ... because there's one more. And then here's another one from the hospital photos. My sister took all of our photos from that day, so that's really awesome. I've got some pretty neat photos of Jackson, you know, getting to meet Nora, and a little bit of uncertainty. He was gone for me, and that was a little much for him. And yeah, it was really cute, but he loved meeting her. He just adored her right away. So really, really sweet. I stitched the border. I thought that was kind of fun. That's not something I do, and it wasn't like a full-on stitch. You can see the breaks in there. So I really like that effect. Actually, I need to mark that down as something I'd like to redo. And then these are Project Life cards. And then just a few embellishing here and there. It's a pretty basic layout, but very pretty. My first mother-daughter selfie. Sean had gone out to, I think, get lunch, and so I had a little bit of time with Nora alone, and I quickly just snapped a photo of us together. And this one's more realistic. This is definitely probably not filtered like that other one was. And then this one has lots of dimension. It's quite thick, so it's got layer on top of layer, and I zoned in, so same photo, but zoned in on her because she was so sweet. And she's wearing this super cute little onesie that's got pineapples on it. So I'm using some Maggie Holmes stuff here. I can see a lot of that in there. I think there is some hidden journaling right here, just kind of talking about, again, my feelings and stuff. There is a stamp that I used, which is crazy because I do not stamp, but I must have had some pink, I must somehow have had some pink ink and did some stamping, a few sequins here and there, and then just, you know, a visual triangle of florals, because I love to do visual triangles. And then meeting your big brother. So this is kind of the first time Jackson got to really hold her. And if you can see the reaction on his face, it's just so cute. I love that. Oh, I love that photo. And so yeah, just kind of his thoughts and feelings. I hope this has all been in frame the whole time, because that would be horrible if it hadn't been. And yeah, just there's not a lot to say about these ones either. Just kind of, I start with my photos like what I want to scrapbook about, and I normally add layers to them. So there's normally like tissue paper or a doily or frame, something goes on top of them, and then I layer underneath that till I'm happy, and created the design with it as well. Love those layouts. I did a bunch of these kind of all at the same time, so they all have the same kind of tones to them. And so this one was meeting your big brother, and this one is your baby sister. So these were originally meant to be, this one would have been in Nora's, and this one would have been in Jackson's, separate albums that are now combined because I've turned them all into the family album. So they say the same things, but it's okay. This one, I love this layout as well. I fussy cut out this banner, put I really like to mix my titles with different thickers or words and stuff. And then this was the idea of, because I'm not a stamper, how this is a Stash Bash layout that I created, but how you could get the effect of stamping if you weren't a stamper with clear stickers. That's how I was able to get that effect. I did a really fun mixed media effect in the background there with some modeling paste and watercolor, and then just kind of a basic, there's the pattern paper, and then that's the end of it. And okay, yeah, sorry, another interruption there. Yes, so again, those few are all kind of the same look to them because they're from the same day, and I did attempt to make them all kind of blend together. And then here's another one. So this is a really fun story. I'm using the beautiful line from Coco Vanilla Studios. I was showing you how you could do a very, very girly line like that and use it as a boy layout. That was my effect. And because he's talking about holding his baby sister, there are girl accent colors to it. But this went in his album. So I had a lot of fun with this. Now what it is when Jackson wanted to hold Nora at first, he would look up at me or Sean and say, maybe I hold the baby. And that would be how we knew that he wanted to hold Nora for a minute. And it was just really sweet and a memory I remember very, very, it's just one of those memories that stick out. He really loved holding Nora. So yes, this was a fun one. It has a little tiny bit of mixed media. You can't really see it, but there's a little bit of a blue from that Frostbite color from Shimmers. Works perfectly with Cocoa Vanilla because most of their lines have the same blue tone to it. It works really, really well for mixed media, just FYI. And so everything on here for the most part, except for these butterflies, that little thing right there, and this cut file is from that collection. It was the Bohemian Dreams collection. And then here's Nora. I did this for a spring hop, I believe, and so I titled it My Sweet Spring Girl because she was born at the end of March, so she's springy enough to me. And yeah, I really like this paper. So it's got this really pretty purple. I'm trying to bring in a bit of purple within this layout, not a color I scrapbook a lot with, so that was really fun. And then some ephemera from Cheeky Studios. Don't even know if they're still around anymore, but she made some really pretty florals, so got some of that used up as well. And then a few little bits and pieces hid here and there, along with a really pretty bag or tissue paper. Love this layout. And then I put a little bow on her little hat there. This is one of the days I'm pretty sure we're still in the hospital here, so she's still eensy. And then this cute photo of her looking up at me, so I just titled it Meant to Be. And I got some of these cute little animals used up from that Dear Lizzie line, some clouds, and just some fun pretty things to make a fun pretty layout. I really love the way this tissue paper turned out with it like folded in on itself like that. Really, really pretty. I need to do that again as well. And then I can see I've done some mixed media with a stencil and some stars and turn that into a banner. I'm thinking this might have been a 30 Days of Sketches, kind of looking at the way it turned out. So I like this layout. There's no journaling on it, but I like it. Here is one. Now this was for a fun collaboration a bunch of us did, where it was like the telephone hop that you see going on kind of right now for the Secret Not Secret Kit Club, where you start with one layout and you pass it on to someone else, and everyone gets a turn to see the person right in front of them and scrap lift it and then pass it on to the person after them. And this is what this was for. So I cannot remember who I was scrap lifting, but I remember trying to make the design stick out, and this little banner part I know I left it there because it was in the layout I was scrap lifting. So yes, this one is just kind of like a letter to them to say, you know, be each other's best friends no matter what, even as you get older and you may not want to hang out with each other, but always be there for each other anyways. It's basically what this layout is about, with a bunch of fun papers. I was trying to keep it neutral for both of them, so not too girly and not too boyish. I think I did a pretty good job with that, using the yellow and teal and black. I think that worked really well. I see some Maggie Holmes in here, pink paisley, and crepe paper. So this has a beautiful mix of lots of stuff. Nothing on the back. Before I turned 30, this was one I did for Spiegelman Scraps, kind of featuring this beautiful, I loved this. It had a lot of like white, almost iridescent with pops of blue and yellow. Really, really pretty. And so I used this collection from Jen Hatfield. I do believe it was called the Everyday Collection. A little bit of mixed media and a bit like a rainbow effect there. 2 random photos I had to just kind of say that before I turned 30, there were only a few things I truly wanted to accomplish: complete our family and be happy. Goal complete. We didn't actually complete our family, but you know, I thought we had. And I used that little love from the Cute Girl collection, and a cactus, and some tags. You'll see lots of tags in my layouts. And this just, I don't know, it's fun and playful, and I like this layout. Pretty basic, but I like it. And here is, I think, the other one that was like the telephone game Hop, where we scrap lift the person in front of us type thing. I have been saving the word my crew to use for the long, like this was a Dear Lizzie sticker sheet. I remember that, and it was like, I just hoarded it, and I kept it and I kept it, waiting, and then Nora was born. I'm like, I'm using it. So I was very excited to use that. I love this little collection of photos down here, just kind of random shots of us as a family and different, with just the different two of us. I think it's adorable. And then this is us all together, and the journaling about how happy I am that we're all together. And I love this layout. I probably would change a few things about it now, but looking at it still, mostly this part bugs me. I have no idea why I just have random sequins up there. I guess maybe I was trying to make the diagonal effect, but I still love it. Doesn't matter. And we're to the last page, you guys. So finally, to wrap up the month of March, I did a little one about her little toes and her little fingers, and just a little photo of her in that onesie that I took her home in. That was her outfit that she got put in the second she was born. I love that outfit so much. And just using, this is supposed to be a cut file, but instead of it being a cut file, I took the time to make squares and then use a corner punch to corner punch the opposite ends, and then do kind of the same thing with the white, and then you stitch it, and it takes a long time, but it's a really pretty effect. Or you could simply go on to Silhouette and just find the cut file, because I'm sure it would save you a ton of time. But I love this layout. I love it. I created one for my niece doing the same thing, and it was a favorite, so I had to recreate it for Nora as well. And then finally, to wrap it up, is the very last one of that fun. I'm pretty sure we did 3 rounds of it. So the same thing, and I think I got to start it off, and so I created this layout. This is documenting a blanket that my sister handmade for Nora. She spent all that time crocheting this or knitting it, or whatever you want to call it, and it was so sweet. I cried when she gave it to me. It's adorable. It's in a very safe place for her to keep and do with it as she may. It is hers, but I'm hoping she'll have a little girl and she can wrap her little girl up in it as well. So I love it. Little circles here and there. My title, like that, with a little bow, and then the photos circling in on how she's sleeping there is really cute as well. She's got her little hand up next to her face. So it's adorable. You can't even actually see what the blanket looks like. I should have taken a photo of the actual blanket. I should probably do that and tuck it in somewhere here. But yes, I love that layout. So very, very Nora heavy, obviously, because she was born the 25th of March. And so she definitely took out much of that ending of that month. So I will be back next week to go over did that go to April at all? No, this is all March. So I'll be back with April, May, June, maybe July. I'm not really sure what's in that one. I know I've been able to fit them into 3 albums. I'm pretty sure anyways. And so I will be back next week with a little bit more of 2017. Thanks everyone so much for watching, and let me know which layout was your favorite from tonight. I will see you again soon. Bye.